See real quick before. Are you ready?
Yep, whenever you are.
All right. So 3, 2, 1, record.
All right.
I think I've got enough redundancies in place now. Um, it's funny because the other show I've been doing with Nick, we I've been using the last couple times I've been using the Audacity file because it's easier to edit. The Zencaster, what it's been doing is there's enough drift to where it's annoying to have to keep kind of adjusting the tracks to sync them up. So I don't know. I will experiment. So I just want to make sure I have this one. I might try it again this time, but we will see. All right, man. Well, we're up and ready and running.
Beautiful.
Oh, except I don't have your face on there yet. Why don't I do
Oh, nobody needs to see my face.
that?
My own wife doesn't want to see my face. Are you kidding me?
Oh man. All right, let's see. We're gonna do. Actually, I gotta shoot. I have you on the wrong screen. That's gonna be a problem. Okay, let me see if I can actually make this work still. Display capture. If I do this one, but I only want this part. Nope, I think I'm gonna pull it off, my friend. I'm pretty proud of myself right
You should be.
now. Let's see if this works. Nope, that is not gonna work. Damn it. Okay, get rid of that. I ruined my whole thing here. Hold on. Delete. What the heck am I doing? Oh, there. Oh, I see what I did. Ooh, that actually could still work. Could still work. All right. I may have done it. I may have done it. Just maybe. Boom. Hold on. There's more in
Who's that old guy on the right?
there. Who is that guy? Let's see. All right, that looks better. All right, and I think there should be a Twitch chat down there. Okay, we should be good. Call it a day on that. All right. So, my other idea was to actually play, like, watch the trailer one more time,
Okay.
or maybe these other ones. But the problem is you can't, unless you just watch on Twitch. You'd have to play it at the same time as me. So I don't. If you have Twitch up, we
Yeah,
can
I've got
run
Twitch up.
we can run it on a delay, or you can just play at the same time. But either way,
Well, it's not like I haven't seen it
well, that's
700
that's true.
times.
That's true.
So,
I was thinking just for the if there's anybody in the chat, I could play it one more time. But if people don't
okay.
show up, I'm not gonna worry about it. So that's where I'm at with that. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Okay.
Um, Otherwise, I'm just burning up. My wife has a fever, and it's 1,000 degrees in my house, and I'm like trying not to die right now. Okay, what are you drinking, man?
We're doing Woodford Reserve again tonight. I haven't been drinking very often because I've been on this big P90X3 health kick since the beginning of the year. So
Oh,
I've been
good.
trying to, yeah, I've lost like 31 pounds. So I got to
No
keep
shit.
going, right?
Nice,
Yeah.
man. Uh,
Thanks.
the wife and I are thinking about doing something else again too, but it's one of those things where you know you gotta get the motivation. You gotta stay with it. You know, and that's important. We've been this is not the time of year. It's too much stress right now, but I'm stoked for you, man. That's a lot. That's good.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I got 20 more to go and I'll be happy. But
Yeah,
we'll, I did one full 90-day round of it. Now I'm going to do another full 90 days
good.
and we'll see what happens.
And
Yeah.
that's the workout one combined with the diet thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh. Just
yeah,
eating smart and, you
yeah.
know,
It's the way to do it, man.
yeah. I'd rather go to Disney though. I mean, I got to be honest with you. Yeah. When I saw your pictures, I was like, what is it? My daughter says I'm jelly.
Yeah, I'm jelly.
So-
I guarantee, man. I did not. I was definitely not very. How do I want to say it? I didn't diet while I was in Disney. I'll tell you that.
Oh, why would you?
I know.
That defeats the whole purpose of going.
Why is my thing frozen now? I noticed my face is frozen.
Oh yeah, you're frozen.
Did I accidentally delete my? No, it's there. Why am I frozen? Tell me why I'm frozen. There.
Frozen 2 coming in November.
I think I'm having a bit of an issue with my webcam this evening. Like it's fine on Hangouts.
Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, let me huh, it's really weird. I'm almost afraid to unplug it and come back and do it again, but
Oh yeah, we may end up having to start all over.
I don't want to do that. Maybe I will do this instead. You know, I did update OBS. I wonder if there's a thing here. Let me try something. Oh, come on. It's almost like there's just a freaking picture of myself. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, I'm gonna delete that. I guess I'll try to add it again, but this is weirding me out, man. Why does it have to be this way, man?
It just happens.
Just can't not have a technical problem.
Yeah, well, you got a lot of things working at the same time if you think about it.
Yeah, that's true statement. True statement. Alright, I'll delete that one. Delete that one. Yeah, you can't see. I made it at least so people don't have to look at me bumbling around, but I'm still wondering why it's not working out. Add existing capture device.
Oh, we're up to 16 people.
Holy crap. Did we get rated? Rated just in time to watch me bumble through this thing? Why is this happening? Okay, well. I might cheat. So, is it still? Hey, what's up, Nick? I'm glad you're here to say hi. Tell me if you can hear me. I'm having an issue with my camera at the moment. A camera that doesn't make an issue that actually doesn't make any sense. So I might cheat. Oops. All right, I'm gonna try something else. What did Nick say?
He can hear you.
Oh, cool. It's still just a picture. Oh, no, it's not. Okay. How's that looking? I totally cheated, and I'm gonna have to.
Oh, you're back. You're back on. There you go. You just switched the view.
Yeah, because you're not gonna want to know what I ended up doing. I'm gonna switch us.
Okay.
So
You
it,
do whatever works.
it doesn't look quite so crazy that way if I do this. So I did was actually capture our conversation instead of my actual camera because I don't know what the hell is wrong with my camera in OBS, and I don't want to start it over, and I want to be done with this madness. So now it looks like maybe I'm actually looking at you. Let's find out.
Yeah, we're down to 11.
Oh yeah, no, that's gonna go away pretty quick. But how's that looking? Is it better?
Yeah, it's fine.
All right.
Like I said, you're the talent. I'm just the support group. So
I just flabbergasted at why all of a sudden my my camera has decided to be wonky tonight, but whatever. All right, I'm over it. So if I look over here, it kind of looks like we're talking to each other, maybe, sort of. I don't know.
It does.
Looking out of the corner of my eye. Okay. All right, Nick, I'm glad to see you, buddy. We're gonna start this madness so we can move on with poor John's night because it's what 10:20 over there.
11:20. That's okay.
Are you on East Coast time? Why do I keep thinking
Uh-huh.
you're on Midwest time?
Because we're, smack dab in the central
Yeah.
United States, but for some reason we decided to go on Eastern time when we finally decided to start switching times, which was only like 10 years ago.
Right. Well, now I feel even more guilty, but here we
Don't.
are.
God. No guilt trips.
I know, right? I'm over that. Okay, dude. Let's get going.
Okay.
All right. Hello and welcome to episode 156 of the Usual Podcast, a podcast where we discuss Star Wars: The Old Republic, the Star Wars franchise, and geek and pop culture. I'm your host, Marshall, and with me this week again is my co-host, Mr. John Skeen. How you doing, buddy?
Incredible. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm fresh off vacation, man, and back into the grind and sick family and all kinds of other stuff. I'm living the dream, buddy.
Look, you got to go to Disney.
I did.
So there is no complaining that can be had at this point.
No, I had an amazing trip, dude. We saw we got to see Will down there. We did Disney. Saw a bunch of other friends, and I got to see my sister and my new nephew, which was awesome as well. So yeah, man, it was a really good trip. I didn't want to come back, but here we are. I had a great 40th birthday in Disneyland from what I remember, and it was great. We just had a great time. So
good for you, man. Well, welcome back, number one.
Oh,
and glad you made it back safely, number two. And now get back to work.
Yeah, no, I'm back to work, man. We're at the tail end of the season, the golf season with coaching, and it's a lot this time of year. A lot of matches, a lot of traveling, and run on fumes. But I'm glad to be doing the show again, man. I didn't want to let it go any farther after Star Wars Celebration and the new Star Wars trailer, which we're going to talk all about tonight. I can't wait.
Oh, that's the trailer we're talking about.
Oh,
sorry,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, you thought we were
was a
talking about the
thing.
Toy Story trailer or something?
Yeah, or I didn't know that was a thing.
That's great. So anyway, speaking of a thing, we're just sitting here enjoying our usual frosty beverages. What are you drinking tonight, my friend?
Tonight we're drinking a little Woodford Reserve, little Kentucky bourbon, which is a nice way to cap the night off. And how about you?
I actually was at the Costco we stopped, and they had a nice sale on the Sierra Nevada hazy little thing IPA, which I think I may have had last time, but I really like this beer, man. So they had a good deal. So I bought a couple 12 packs, and so I'm sipping on that. It's good.
Sounds like a good choice to me.
Yeah. So before we get started, if you have comments or questions, you can find us at theusualpodcast.com. Email us at theusualpodcast@gmail.com. And we're on Facebook, Google+, Spotify, Pinterest, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. I feel like we're adding more things every time. But anyway.
Lots of things.
And I am at Darth Pops on Twitter, and John is John R. Skeen. Find us on iTunes, Stitch Radio, Google Play, Plex, and all your favorite podcatchers. So rate us, like us, and tell your friends. And of course, We have a lot of stuff coming up, including Star Wars. I almost said Star Wars Celebration. We have our Pucked 4 Cantina in San Diego. So I'm throwing it out there right now at the top of the show. If you have an idea for a T-shirt and you're a fan, please go ahead and submit that. Email it to us at theusualpodcast@gmail.com. All right. Timestamps in the show notes for non-SWTOR fans. And people who aren't watching live, we are going to talk a lot of SWTOR in the beginning of the show. But I think it'll go quickly. There was a lot of announcements at Star Wars Celebration and the Cantina and some community stuff. But the meat of the show is going to be all Star Wars this week. I didn't even put stuff in from regular pop culture. I just couldn't do it. There's too many things going on. So we're going to stay in Star Wars and SWTOR this week. So if you're here for Marvel talk and stuff like that, come at us next time because we're going to be talking Avengers. I know it. I can feel it.
1 week. 1 week.
Man, a week from today. I'm hoping to go to the Thursday show here. I'm really hoping.
So many good things.
Can't wait. All right, man. So let's see. Thanks you to the chat room for everybody who is there. There's a bunch of people in there. I think we got raided right before this. Sorry for the technical problems. Something's weird with my webcam this week. I don't know. I don't feel like spending more time with it. So it is what we got. And then what else do we have? We have our drinking buddies, of course. One of them is with me, John Skeen. Thank you to everybody who contributes on Patreon as well. Eddie, Zen, and everybody else. So, of course, you can find us on patreon.com/theusualpodcast if you want to contribute and help us out. So we appreciate everybody who does that. All right, buddy. Let's do the thing. We're going to talk SWTOR first. Yes?
Let's do it.
All right. So, community. I always like to start with the community stuff at the top of the SWTOR section. And the main thing I want to feature is our friends who were down at Star Wars Celebration. So, did you tune into any of the live streams or any of the other stuff going on? The fan booth. SWTORista did a fan booth down there and all that.
I did not tune into any of the live portions. I just kind of followed on Twitter throughout the entire time Celebration was occurring, and it looked like way too much fun, which was causing me anxiety problems because I wanted to be there.
So. I wanted to be there too, and I'm on vacation getting Twitter alerts, and I'm like, oh man, Jesse's there. Oh, they look so nice in their cosplay, and I was jealous. So I'm stoked for everybody who was there. It seemed to go really, really well. I have some links in the show notes for various things. The top of this, though, I want to say SWTORista got featured on SWTOR. I don't know if you saw this on Twitter, which is pretty cool. She was on the, when you log in to play the game, and they do like little highlights. She was on there under content creators, so I thought that was kind of cool. So I have a link to her tweet. I thought that was pretty sweet. So,
good for her. She's such a valuable member of her community, always contributing things. So I'm really happy that she's kind of getting recognized now.
Well, I agree, man, and it was a blast hanging out with her. She came down for San Diego Comic-Con last year. She's coming down again this year. Really so much fun to hang out with. Amazing podcast voice, and it's just really fun to sit down and talk about geek stuff with her. So really cool person, and I'm looking forward to seeing her again. She, of course, spearheaded the SWTOR fan booth at Star Wars Celebration Chicago. Some of the prizes they put up, one of the tweets was a studio edition of the collector's edition of the original SWTOR. Which was really cool. The only difference really was the box, not the contents, but it would still be really cool to get that. And I also put the streaming schedule in that they posted before. And the main reason I did that was because if you go to these folks' YouTube channels, Twitch channels, you can, you can find their what they streamed, and I think that's really, really important. I know they had a booth, they gave out pins and all kinds of cool stuff, and I just think everything they're doing for the community and everybody who helped out with that is amazing, and I wish I could go. But as I don't know if I want to say as a transition into next time, the next one is in Anaheim. Star Wars Celebration is going to come back to Anaheim in 2020. So I linked to a tweet saying, well, I guess there's going to be another Star Wars Anaheim booth, which I hope they do another booth, and I want to be part of that. It's not so far from me to where I can make that work. So that's going to be awesome, I think.
I agree. I agree. Plus, it seems like all the cool stuff always happens out there on the West Coast. So
Well,
awesome.
you just got to get out here, man. I've been
I
trying. I've been
know.
trying.
I know.
It's not for lack of effort, my friend. I'm really trying to get you out here.
No, I know. I know. If it wasn't for, children embraces and all of those good things that come along with that, I probably would have already been out there. So,
Children and all the expenses that come along with them. Yes, I know.
yeah. Yes, exactly.
Oh man. So big shout out to the SWTOR community, everybody who went to Star Wars Celebration. I was trying to get a little roundtable together for this week, and didn't work out. But I can't wait for Pucked in San Diego, so that's going to be amazing as well. So everybody who does all this stuff for the community, I can't wait to meet up with you again. So that's going to be fun. So we're at our weekend game, my friend. What did you do this week? Anything?
Yeah, I played Uber driver for children.
You sound like me, dude. I'm getting people onto planes and off planes and into Ubers and out of Ubers and everything else.
Yeah, we're at the height of travel soccer season. So, with two daughters playing travel soccer on separate teams and driving everywhere, it is what it is. But I will say this: I did manage to do one thing today, which was update my game.
Oh,
So at least the next time I log in, I'm one step ahead.
yeah, you have me beat, man. I haven't done that in a couple cycles. I'm woefully behind. This is my, and I don't want to. Well, it's an excuse, whatever it is, but I have not gotten any gaming in really at all, especially SWTOR. I just can't seem to make it work right now. Stupidly, like I said, I started another podcast. I'm also trying to get more writing done, but I haven't done much of anything now that golf is in full swing. Like I said, I coach the golf team. We've been traveling a lot. I was on vacation. It was my anniversary last Saturday, which was wonderful. We've been together 17 years, married 12, and
Congratulations.
oh, thank you. It's been great, and we've had a lot of fun. But man, I'm exhausted.
Well, I was gonna say, did you get any sleep with
No,
all
no.
of those things going on?
Yeah, no, very little sleep. And half my family's sick right now. So like I said, we're maintaining, dude. I listened to, anybody that listens to the show knows I'm a big fan of the Sans Pants Radio Network. And those guys, they do a show called, it might be just a Patreon show, I'm not sure, but it's called Thumb Cramps, and they review video games and the video games that they're playing, right? Which I think is kind of cool. One of them mentioned they were playing this game Outward. And I, as a early birthday present, I bought it for myself. And it was like, $30-$40 on Steam or something. So I picked that up, and it's actually kind of a trip. It's really kind of cool. It's it's one of those role-playing games where you're just a guy and you just kind of move through the world, and it's sort of survival-ish. When you die, like you really die, like almost fully. I haven't dived into it too much, but I'll come back and talk to you. But I like it. It's not graphically amazing, but it's one of those games where a small team put together, I think, a pretty cool product. So I like it.
Nice.
But again,
okay. I'll have to keep that one in mind.
That's as much gaming as I've got in it. I'm talking like seriously 20-30 minutes. And that's about it.
Yeah. No, I will say the only thing that I play on a regular basis, and I think it's more out of habit, or I can find time to squeeze in 5-10 minutes at a time here and there, is Marvel Puzzle Quest.
Yeah.
Because it's on my phone. So if I'm waiting around between conference calls or meetings or whatever, I can kind of slide that in.
Right.
But hey, sometimes that's enough to kind of satiate you through the week when everything else is going on.
You can say you've been gaming, so there's that.
Yeah, I guess there is that. So,
all right, dude. So we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about, but the main thing is Star Wars Celebration. They did, as usual, BioWare shows up. They did a cantina. They made some announcements. But prior to that, we had update 5.10.2. And again, this is a little old news, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But it was the update for Guild Heraldry. And there's some links in the show notes to that. It actually looks pretty cool, being able to make your own sigils and stuff for your guild. And there were some other updates as well. I have the link in the show notes for the patch notes. But I'm actually would like to jump in because the one thing that came along with that was the update to the preview window. And I would like to see how that looks because I know that was kind of a sticking point for me. Like, I'm in the GTN, I'm buying stuff, and you're not being able to see things the way you want to see them. I think this is a good addition. So.
Nope, I agree. I agree, and I haven't bought anything for a long time just because I'm kind of like you. I want to see exactly what I'm getting.
Well, especially when you're going to
And
spend millions of credits on an item that might be cosmetic, you want to make sure it looks the way you want it to.
mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah, I need to also try that out and review it a little bit myself. So
Sounds good to me, dude. So the community cantina happened, and I have a link in the I have a link in the show notes to the stream of it. And I have not got a chance to watch it. I probably won't, only in that I've been to so many community cantinas. I kind of know how it's going to go, and if I'm not there, I really don't want to watch it. But we have the announcements. The major announcement, of course, was the latest expansion, which we kind of knew was coming anyway. The expansion for Star Wars: The Old Republic, and it's called Onslaught. Okay. And I have a link in the show notes to, I believe, it is Zamzam. It's a very short, condensed version of everything that has happened, that they announced. In a nutshell, there's going to be a new story spanning 2 new planets and a flashpoint, which I think is pretty cool.
and one of those new planets looks really cool.
It does. And one of them is Onderon, and the other one is Miksha, which is a brand new planet. So I think that's awesome. The flashpoint goes back to Corellia, of all places. What do you think about that?
No, I'm actually good with that because especially when we kind of started the new gearing system and everything else that was going on. I beat the snot out of Corellia for a long time, so it'd be good to go back there and have some new content.
And I think it's interesting that that's going to conclude the story for the expansion because wasn't Corellia where you finish your 1 to 50 story, wasn't it? Wasn't that the last planet?
That's where
Okay.
Yep, that's where you finish your class story.
Yeah, so I think that's fitting. That the Flashpoint concludes a story on Corellia. I think that's awesome. There's going to be a new operation. I'm going to say it's called Duxon, which I don't know too much about, but I think that's going to be cool. And new operations with an expansion, I think, is super important because they're, with expansions, they're trying to give a little something for everybody.
Right. No. I mean, come on, think about it. I mean, I know this is 6.0 and it's been a long time coming, but we're getting 2 planets, new story, a flashpoint, and an operation.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
I mean, that's huge.
That's a big deal.
And we got more stuff to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. And the crazy thing is that's a lot in and of itself, and that's kind of what we've been getting with expansions, quote unquote, lately. Is we get a flashpoint, a little story, maybe some companions and stuff like that. But and then that other operation kind of got trickled in. Gods and the Machine kind of came through bits at a time. But having a full operation plus all this stuff, and then not to mention they're gonna have new abilities for all the advanced classes, which is a big deal. They're going to have gear changes and itemization changes, including customization, set bonuses, and horizontal progression, whatever that means. And I can't wait to find out no more about that.
Well, I'm glad you said that because that was going to be my question to you is like, that's a new one for me.
I honestly think it's going to be more like a skill tree sort of thing. Like you get one thing and then you move to another thing. You know what I'm saying? You gotta kind of move up. Is what I've been gleaning from various sources. But and then also a new species, which is gonna be good for the role players, of course, which is Nautilin, which I feel like has been a long time coming. I know I can think of 5-6 years ago at a cantina. People throwing out ideas for new races, and Nautilin was always near the top of the list. And they're going to have at least 10 color options, which is, I think, a big deal, considering Nautilin are a very varied race as far as skin tone. So that's cool.
What was just out of curiosity? What was number 1? Wookiee.
Yeah, people would always throw out basic speaking races. So Wookiee was asked for a lot. Vox was another one, which the reason the Vox always got kind of put by the wayside was mostly because in lore they're so much taller. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of changed the dynamic there. But Nautilin was up there, and Rhodian was another one. But again, basic speaking. So Nautilin I think is a good choice. They're going to be. I think that's going to be a really cool role playing choice, and also just another species choice for players like us who have plenty of alts and just want something a little different. You know what I mean? So I think that's good. Hey, Shaggy's, how's it going? And so the big one is we're finally getting a level cap increase, which makes this officially a full expansion, So it's going to be going up to level 75. And one more thing, new characters select screen music, which I thought was actually kind of an interesting thing. And I think they're changing the load screen, the character select screen. I saw some pictures of that as well, which I think is going to be pretty cool. So.
And the new screen music is done by Imagine Dragons. No, I'm just kidding.
Wouldn't that be cool, right?
Yeah, right.
You heard it here first, everyone.
So I do have one thing that and because this is awesome, I'm just going to ask you. The one thing that I hated the last time that we had a new level cap, was the abilities like popping into your windows one by one, or you had like two or what I'm talking about. I'm kind of at a loss for words.
On the toolbars, they would show up and they'd start glowing for a minute, and then they go away.
It's like yeah, it's like I don't have all of my abilities as an Inquisitor that I've used for the last 5 years, but I've got 3 of them. Yeah. Okay, so hopefully it's not rolled out the same way. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they had to do it that way.
Well, it would be nice to kind of have, and you actually have a good point. It'd be nice to have maybe they could do this even on the website. Say, okay, if you used to sing this symbol for this ability, this one's gone, but this is what's replacing it, or this is a new symbol for it. So when you see it, you actually have a reference point. Because again, it is a little weird all of a sudden be like, wait, what the hell is this ability? You know what I mean?
Right.
I've never seen this before, and it's in my number 4 slot, and I hit this one all the time, and why is it not doing the thing I want?
Yeah, it's not doing the things. I'm mashing the button and it's not doing the thing.
I'm always mashing the buttons. Oh man, so that's a good point actually. Yeah, maybe that's something we can bring up at Pucked. That's a good idea.
Okay.
I'll throw that out to the group. Remember that one. All right, man. So it will be on the PTS sometime this summer, and the release date's going to be September 2019, which is going to be awesome. And of course, the cost is free for subscribers. So if you're subscribing, you're good to go, and it'll pop in when it's time. So. Any initial thoughts on this expansion, dude? It's pretty cool, right?
So, I'm easy, so I get excited about when we just release bits and pieces, or going back when we're releasing a chapter at a time, each month or whatever it was.
Oh, those are the days.
Yeah, I got excited for that. So all of this, I'm like, are you kidding me? This is I'm super stoked for it. How about you?
Same here, man. And I think this might be because obviously in the last year I haven't been able to play as often. Our raid group hasn't been getting together, and there's a lot of things that haven't been happening. And it's not that I'm not happy with the game. I love Star Wars: The Old Republic. I've been in this community forever. But my whole thing is I don't have that much time to play right now, and I want something to really bring me back. I haven't come back for the last couple content releases, and I haven't unsubbed. I'm still paying my money because I do pop in here and there, but for me, a full expansion, especially leading up to into the summer, will be nice, I think. So the other thing that we don't want to forget, that Star Wars Celebration came out. If you haven't done it yet, and we're a little late on this, obviously, because by the time you hear this, it'll be almost 2 weeks old, but they always do a Cantina code. And it's SW Celebration 19, and you get a bunch of stuff. You get some plaques, some posters for your stronghold, which is pretty cool, and that kind of thing. So I think that's neat.
Agreed.
I'm not going to go through all of the little things with the story and what's going on in Onderon and all this other stuff. We have a link in the show notes to all of that. I think I just want to talk in generalities, considering all this has already kind of happened. And there's one other thing we have to talk about, man, that's coming. So I don't want to I want to make sure we talk about that. So any other thoughts on the expansion in general, or are you good?
No, I'm definitely good. Let's get to it, right? Let's
Yeah.
get to the summer. Let's get through the school year and get to the
Oh
summer,
man,
and then we'll
seriously.
all be happy.
Seriously, right? All right, so this just came out actually 2 days ago. After following, so I'm just gonna read this. Eric Musco put this out. He said, "Following our onslaught announcement at Star Wars Celebration, we want to start diving into feedback right away." He put up a thread basically that basically to get feedback on the set bonuses and tactical items. So the goal in Onslaught is to introduce a new set bonus along with tactical items that can help you play the way you want. For disciplines, this is a bit easier as you pick your favorite part of that class and try to do more of it. So every discipline, I have a link in the show notes to one of them. But if you go to Dev Tracker, you can find them all. And I didn't want to list them all in the show notes because there's a lot. But every discipline is going to get some sort of tactical item. So, for example, Concealment Scrapper is the one that I put in here. And their tactical item is going to be, let's see, for inspiration, there's 2 completely made up Chain Lightning examples. So Chain Lightning is now does all of its total damage to one target and no longer, wait a minute, hold on, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
Why does it say concealment? Oh, sorry. This is the general post. I put the wrong link in here. That's my bad. So basically what they're doing is, this is the same post I was just at. I'm ridiculous right now. It's literally 400 degrees in my room right now. For inspiration, so
Don't pass out on me, Marshall.
so for example, for the inspiration discipline, there's Chain Lightning down does all of its total damage to only one target and no longer jumps. Chain Lightning now jumps even more and does additional damage to secondary targets. So you can kind of change those things. Does that make sense? And then it says there's also, they want to brainstorm ideas for tactical items and set bonuses for, where is it? I'm losing track of what I'm saying here. Hold on one second. For context, tactical items. So just in a nutshell, tactical items, they should be modify one of your advanced class discipline abilities to work differently. So it's basically one ability that's going to work differently. The goal is for you to use the ability in situations you previously wouldn't, more often, specific targets, etc. Does that make sense? And then the set bonuses, they should be focused on the broader kind of tools your class uses, but not specific abilities. Some examples are sets that center around bleeds, force damage, lightning, shields, cover, and so on. So Eric set up this thread to basically brainstorm general set bonuses and tactical items you would like to see in the game. So that's a long, convoluted version of saying what I just said.
Right. But here's the cool here's and by the way, you're doing a great job tanking this podcast.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
So here's the thing I like about it, and maybe it's the HR guy in me, but they're taking feedback from the community, and they're asking, and it's not just us giving it, they're asking for feedback, which I don't know, if a lot of other games actually do that.
Well, they're asking for ideas too.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what makes this community so special and this game so special. And I think that's why every time somebody says this game is dead or whatever, it continues to live on because of how they do things, at BioWare and specifically for this game. So I think it's pretty cool.
I agree, man. And speaking of what you just said, they also started another thread, and they want to gather feedback from people early and often. So to start off, they want to dive into brainstorming ideas for both new sets for tactical items, and they have one for each class. So make sure that, it says, please head to your respective class forum where they have made a thread for each discipline to find the details. So they're basically, you can dive right in. If you only play one spec, go into that and put in your ideas. I think that's super important. So cool, man. I'm stoked. I think this is a really good thing.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Beyond a good thing.
and we've known this was coming, and everybody's like, well, of course they're going to announce 6.0. And yes, of course they're going to announce 6.0, but I don't think people thought it was going to be quite this much. I expected a level increase and maybe a new op. and some bug fixes. And maybe I guess a Flashpoint makes sense too. But adding a new sort of gearing system and ways to play the game, I think it's super important. I think they're really listening and trying to get the longevity of this game, especially with all of the stuff. Talk about transitioning. With all the stuff we're going to talk about here in a couple minutes, the sheer amount of Star Wars-ness that's happening is going to make this game, I think, stick around longer. Not that I thought it was going to go away, but the fact that we have so much Star Wars content coming is going to make people look for Star Wars games, right? Although we are going to talk about a few of them in a minute, but they are still going to be out there looking for Star Wars games. And I think to find an MMO for people who like MMOs, maybe they're coming off a WoW or something like that, and they're Star Wars fans, maybe they find us or come back to us, and I think that's good. So,
yeah, I think come back is a key. And from some of the things that I've read, like on Dolphy and some of the other sites, sounds like a lot of people are like, oh, maybe I'll come back at that point. Yeah. So hopefully this is, it looks like a home run. But hopefully the play is also a home run, and it does bring some of the people that have left the community back into the fold.
Yeah, and I think obviously implementation, execution, all that stuff is super important. So it needs to be ready, it needs to be polished, and I hope that they get as much feedback as they can. And of course, the best way to do that too, guys, is get on the PTS when it pops up and give your feedback, and all that's super important to make sure that you're getting what you want. Make your voice heard.
Heard.
All right, man. So anything else SWTOR wise? Because I'm really eager to get to this other stuff.
Oh, me too. So by other stuff, you mean we're going to talk about Tiger Woods, right?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the Masters. And
okay.
It was great seeing Tiger win again. And honestly, I could talk about that for about an hour, but I won't.
Right.
I was just waiting for people to start turning off the podcast. They're going to start talking about sports again. Screw these guys.
They're talking about golf? What?
and granted, I could talk about golf all day long, but I will not. And I did love seeing Tiger win again. Trust me, that was a blast in the past, and it was a blast to watch. And and all that aside, we are actually going to talk about Star Wars.
All right, let's do that.
All right. Reluctantly, we'll talk about Star Wars.
We got another movie coming.
I know, so much content. All right, man. So we obviously Star Wars Celebration was last week, and there was a ton of stuff happening. We talked about at the top of the show that Star Wars Celebration is returning to Anaheim in 2020, which makes me already start to think about what I'm going to do in order to make that happen. And I'm going to go ahead and say there's an 85% chance I'm going to make it. So I'm going to expect you to be there, to be honest with you, buddy. I'm just going to say that right now.
All right. I'll start saving some money then.
No pressure. We're only live on Twitch. No big deal.
Supposedly the youngest kid's not going to need braces, so maybe I'll have some money.
Hey, there we go. See, now you can start saving and all will be well.
That's right.
So that said, we actually just came out of Star Wars Celebration Chicago, which was an amazing event. Obviously, if you are into Star Wars at all, you probably saw a lot of this stuff already, but I wanted to highlight several things that I think are important for us to talk about. So it's just some general Star Wars stuff that came out of it. Kathleen Kennedy was talking about what is it? Oh, because so obviously with episode 9, and not to bury the lead, we are going to talk about the episode 9 trailer. And if you're listening to this, you've seen the trailer already, so we can kind of talk about it and not talk about it at the same time. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about it, but not.
Well, we're not going to talk about the actual trailer yet, but we're going to talk about it as if everybody as listening has seen the trailer. Does that make sense?
Can we think about it?
You think about it, and I'll talk.
Okay.
All right, dude. So Kathleen Kennedy talked about teasing sequel trilogy characters for later. So, for example, like I said, this is supposed to be the end of the Skywalker saga, right? Episode 9.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean we can't see sequel trilogy characters later in other films or in other capacities, right? And we've already got some announcements. Obviously, we have, actually, we don't have any with these guys, huh? It's all prequel stuff. Rogue One, everything else. Okay, so I don't want to get ahead of myself. So she was talking to MTV News, basically saying there's a couple of different things. One, maybe seeing sequel trilogy characters later, and also, which I thought was kind of surprising, talk to them about including Knights of the Old Republic movie and female, and characters as well. I think that's kind of interesting to think about, considering we just came off SWTOR.
Beyond interesting, and I will say this: my friend Joe, who's a huge Star Wars person, doesn't play SWTOR, but he actually, sent me a text with a link as soon as that came out, and he was more excited about that with Knights of the Old Republic than he was with the Episode 9 trailer.
Right.
So it's like, wow. I mean, I think that could have some real momentum behind it.
And what does this mean? This means like we can see Darth Malak, we could see all of these Knights of the Old Republic characters pulled into canon, which I think is really exciting for a lot of longtime Star Wars gamers, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm that really fired me up too. So that would be pretty cool if that's granted she's just talking. You never know what can happen between now and then. But
but they could finally go back to maybe go to the Revan thing or something else. I mean, obviously SWTOR has played with this a little bit because that's kind of coming on the heels of Knights of the Old Republic. But I mean, to have some of this in canon, we've already seen Darth Bane canonized. We've already seen some of these other things pop in and out of the animated series and stuff like that. It would be nice to see some of that on the big screen in some capacity, or of course, and we'll talk about it later on Disney Plus in some capacity. Right. So the sky's the limit. The Star Wars universe is vast, man, and obviously they're exploring other options, and Disney can tell a decent story. So I have confidence that they'll do okay. So.
I have confidence. But
sorry.
I have confidence they'll do the right thing.
You got metallic for a minute. Say it again.
Oh, I said sometimes the release dates might be a little bit off, but I have confidence in the content.
Exactly. Release dates are a thing. It's a technicality, dude. All right, man. So we have the episode. Let's get into episode 9. Okay. Before we get to the trailer, I have a link in the show notes to the panel itself. Stephen Colbert did the thing. Did you see that?
I did not specifically see Stephen. I just saw the trailer.
Yeah.
So I have not.
I'll tell you what. I was flying back that day. That was on, what was that, on the Friday? That was the 12th. And before we got on the plane is when the panel started. Actually, no, I was on the plane. The panel started, and I had to turn my phone off. And I watched the first couple minutes of Colbert telling some kind of interesting, weird, geeky jokes, pronouncing things funny. And so that was kind of fine. And then we flew. It was like an hour and a half. And then by the time I touched down, I watched the trailer. So I haven't gone back and watched it, but really all I really wanted was a trailer. I don't, that's just me.
So I just want to get this straight. So because this shows incredible patience on your part. So you knew the trailer was getting dropped.
Yeah.
And then you had to get on a plane.
I was already on the plane. I had no choice, buddy.
You couldn't. So you had to wait an hour and a half to watch it?
Yeah. I literally touched down, and when all my notifications popped up, I saw the teaser trailer pop up, and I watched it literally as people were pulling their bags out of the thing, like half sobbing. My daughter's trying to figure out, because I had my my AirPods on, and my daughter's like, "What are you watching?" I was like, "Shh, don't talk to me," and like,
wow,
yeah, it was kind of gnarly. It was a terrible time to be traveling, of course, but it is what it is. When we got home, we watched it on the big screen a couple times with the family, and it was great. So.
Man, good for you.
Yeah.
Holy patience.
Goodness. I just had to know that it was going to be there when I landed, if the plane landed. And I just had to hope the pilot was legit.
Wow. I'm impressed. Very, very impressed.
Well, I mean, I could have stopped the plane maybe, but then I'm that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't want to be that guy. Not that guy.
Speaking of that guy, there was a guy on the plane. As soon as we were about to take off, the captain says something like, everybody get in their positions, flight crew get in their positions. And then some guy got up and went to the bathroom. and we're all looking around. We're like, what the hell is this guy doing? He literally got up, and we all waited, and he got back in his seat, and the stewardess came over and talked to him for a second, but was like, what else are we going to do? So we all were waiting for that guy was that guy. I wasn't trying to be that guy. I'll tell you that.
But you weren't that guy.
I was not. Although I really wanted to watch that damn trailer, but I knew it wasn't going to be for like at least half hour. There were all empty chairs behind Colbert at that point. I said maybe by the time I land, it'll be up, and of course it was. So, all right. So we got the title, Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker, The Rise of Skywalker. Okay, and it's a teaser trailer. It's like maybe a minute and 10 or something without the space on either side, right? What else?
And 20 seconds of that is breathing.
Yeah, there was a lot of breathing in the beginning, which is great, which basically linked to the other one, which I'll talk about in a minute. So I have what I'm looking at right now is from StarWars.com, 13 things we learned from Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker panel. Okay, so number 1 is obviously the title. Number 2, the filmmakers continue to work on the movie and can't wait to share with the world, etc. That makes sense. Number 3, and I have a link to another article where JJ talks about this, but it's not like episode 8 where it literally takes place like a minute later. You know what I mean? Like, because you end episode 7 with Rey handing the lightsaber to Luke. This one, some time has passed in between 8 and 9, which is what they're letting us know. Okay. Let's see what else we have. Number 4, real world feel was important to Abrams, and that's kind of how he always is. He's big on practical effects and all that kind of stuff. And obviously we saw Carrie Fisher, which is number 5. Her presence is especially meaningful now, of course, that she's not in the world with us any longer.
That's the tears.
Yeah, I know. God, that was hard to see. And then number 6, BB-8 has a new friend, and you do see that little moment where, like, you see the little head tilt from BB-8, and then there's this little, I don't know, it looks like a wheel with a head on it. I don't know.
Right. I didn't even catch it at first. And then, when I was reading some of the material associated with it, I went back and I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess I missed that.
Well, I saw it the first time, and I was just like, the only reason I noticed it was because it did the kind of same head movement that BB-8 did. And I'm like, what is that little thing? And so I guess he has his little friend with him. And what else do we have here? Number 7, who is Jannah? And let's see. She is, I want to say, so this is the character played by Naomi Ackie. Ackie, I think is how you say it. And people are already, I don't know, putting out there that it might be Lando's daughter, right? Because we do see Lando in the trailer, which is pretty cool as well, right? Number 8, Lando. Oh.
Come on, dude.
When
that was the other.
When I saw him,
I
was like, oh god, I'm gonna cry. Lando's flying the Falcon. I'm gonna cry. Number 9 is Finn has found his place. I don't know what this is. It says on this adventure, I just think Finn has found his identity within the Resistance, so that's good. Good. And number 10, we'll see Rey employing some new Force powers. It says, will we? That's the question. You see from that trailer, that's happening. Yeah. So
we will.
We will definitely
change the wording.
We will definitely see that. And number 11, of course, is Rose is back after Kelly Marie Tran. Obviously, post the controversy with Episode 8, I'm so glad she's back and will have a role in the film because the internet went after her for whatever reason that might have been, and I'm glad she's back, and I'm hoping that people realize that she's a character that deserves to be in the film. So,
yeah, dear internet, calm the F down.
Seriously, it's getting toxic, man. It's getting so bad.
Especially and I love Twitter. It's great for gamers, but there's Twitter is just toxic overall. Yeah. It's to the point where I don't even like opening it anymore. But anyways, that's a different subject. Let's keep moving on. Good stuff here.
No, I'm with you, man. At least we're not talking about Reddit. That's even worse.
Yeah, right. True. That's like the wild, wild west of the internet.
Exactly. Number 12. It says, is Poe a better pilot than Han Solo? And it says, Colbert raised a near blasphemous question to Oscar Isaac. No one can pilot the Millennium Falcon like Han, he said. However, Poe can fly anything. I'm just saying, Poe is a better Uber driver, which I think is pretty funny. And, of course, number 13 is the new teaser poster, which looks legit. The blue writing, Rise of Skywalker, and it just says December. I'm over the moon, man. I cannot wait for this all to happen. So a couple little things before we talk about the trailer itself. And let's go through this. So J.J. Abrams, he consulted with George Lucas, which isn't really a surprise, when he decided to go and write The Rise of Skywalker. It makes sense that he went back and talked to him. I just think that's just a courtesy, and why wouldn't you take an opportunity to talk to George Lucas and bounce your ideas off him, right?
Yeah, it's almost like he invented it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like going to. It's not a consultant. It's almost like, hey, you know what? This is what we're thinking about doing, and you started this whole thing. Like, what do you think of this? I think I would love to be a fly on the wall in that conversation. It'd be really cool. And so JJ also talks about why it's called The Rise of Skywalker. I don't know if you want to go into this or not. How do you feel about that?
So when I first, obviously, I hadn't read all of the articles associated with the release when I first saw it. I'm like, oh, okay, that can have a lot of different meanings,
right?
The Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, so I like the idea of it because it creates a lot of interest, and gets the fans' heads turning. Because imagine that, people speculating in the Star Wars community.
Yeah.
But
and they only gave us 6 months to do so.
Well, exactly. There will be a new YouTube theory, YouTube channel theory out there every day.
Right.
So,
exactly.
No, I love the title, and plus, I mean, if you think about it, if this really is the kind of the conclusion, between the 9 films, I mean, the whole thing has been about Skywalkers from the beginning.
Exactly.
So,
and I think, well, one of the things I want to bring up while we're talking about the title is that, and this was on the internet, and I listened to a lot of Kevin Smith podcasts, and he talked about this on a show recently with Ralph Garman, but he was talking about what he thought the title meant, and I think it's actually really interesting. Is that I don't know if this is his theory or if he just repeated it, but let me see what you think of this. He basically said that what if the Rise of Skywalker, instead of, like, how there's the Jedi Order, like, instead of now in honor of what the Skywalkers were, now the new order of Jedi are Skywalkers. And, like, the Rise of Skywalker means this is the new Force user, the new Jedi, basically.
I
think that's kind of cool. Cool.
I think it's a very, very cool idea, but I think it'll be something none of us are thinking about.
Oh, of course, it'll be definitely. I mean, and like I said, that's why I like the speculation part of it, because I know it's going to mean none of the things we're talking about, and I'm fine with that. I'm 100% fine with that. And like episode, and that's actually the reason I liked episode 8 so much, was because I didn't think any of that was going to happen, and then it did, and I was like, well, that's cool. Like, why can't we all be wrong and be okay with being wrong? Like, I feel like the internet, when they're like, well, I want it to be this, and when it's not that, then they get on their soapbox and get mad and go to YouTube and complain about how it wasn't what they thought it was going to be because their idea is better. It's like, screw you, it's not your franchise. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
you
don't get a say.
It's still making money. Yeah, and I get it. I mean, I spent 2 years of my life trying to figure out who in the hell Snoke was.
Oh, yeah.
Killed the bastard in the first third of the movie. So I'm like, oh, I guess it really didn't matter.
Exactly. And maybe it didn't. Who knows? So do you want to... So let's talk about the trailer. Do you want to watch it again really quick?
That is you're tanking.
It's pretty short.
I'm just healing.
I appreciate your support. I think what I'm going to do, since there are people in the chat room, although they're very quiet, I am going to throw this up for people to watch, and if you want to watch along, please do that. Let's see. God, I gotta get the right feed here. Let's see. Nope, that's not it. How do I want to do this? Display capture. Okay, so for some reason that's not going to work. I don't know why, but let me pull this over here real quick. Thankfully, nobody can see the weird things I'm doing in my OBS noobness right now. Let's do this, because I really just wanted to watch this one more time before we talk about it so it's fresh.
Here, I'll start it off.
I know, just breathing. That's funny. Hold on. Let's see. All right. Well, I don't know if people want to sit here and watch me do this, but damn it! I don't know why it's not working the way I want it to. Okay, well, forget that.
Just mash the buttons. Do the thing.
I'm trying, man. I really am. Where is this? Why is this doing this? Okay. All right. Well, that's not gonna.
We need more Patreons, and then you can hire a producer.
Yeah, I just need someone to do the things for me. How about that? What if? What if? What if? All right. Oh, that's pretty. Okay. So I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. Well, why don't?
Don't say that. Don't say you don't know what you're doing. Just blame the equipment.
Well, I'm blaming OBS right now because it's being super touchy. Display capture. Why isn't? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, forget you. All right. Well, that's not going to work. And quite frankly, I am over it. All right. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to bring this over here. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to add this, and I'm going to do this. Bear with me, people. I'm ready. And we're going to do this a different way. Still don't know why it's not working the way I want it to. All right. Well, now I can't do it now. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're just going to watch the trailer one time, and people can listen along. If you would like to watch it with us, I'll put a link in the show notes because I don't want to waste any more people's time. I'm going to put a link in the Twitch chat, and I'm just going to play it. Everybody ready? Oh, I'm ready. You ready?
Do it. I'm ready.
Here we go. And the breathing.
We've passed on all we know. 1,000 generations live in you now. But this is your fight.
Let me know when you're done. Or did you watch it?
I waited. I've seen it about 700 times.
Yeah, all right. So I just had to pick out a couple of things in the beginning. So, all right. The big thing, I just want to know and this maybe is me overthinking it, but do you think that scene in the desert, wherever that is a real thing that's happening?
Yes, I do.
You do.
After kind of having, dream sequences, and then um, when she goes into the
Like,
pit
in
or the hole.
The hole.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I, despite that, I think it's real, and
Okay.
I think that just might be one of those little subtle differences between the way that Ryan Johnson tells the story and JJ tells the story. But it's speculation, right? How
Right.
about you? What's your thought?
Well, I don't know, man. I'm torn. I feel like because of how like, and maybe it's just the way the trailer is cut. It's like all of a sudden she's like, you know, she's breathing. Maybe there's a meditation going on, and then she like pops into this wasteland, and there's some sort of challenge there. And to me, the way that felt was almost like Luke in the cave, in that she's
Okay.
reacting to something that's coming at her. Do you know what I mean? So like that's kind of where I'm at with it. I don't know. To me it looks real. My wife even threw out there. She said, "Well, it looks like," because I imagine it's maybe it's Kylo Ren flying that, let's say, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it looks like maybe they're sparring on some level or playing even. But to me, it seemed a little more serious than that, and it almost seemed like more of a challenge that she had to overcome. So to me, it spoke sort of the Luke in the cave or herself facing the mirror kind of thing. Like she's learning the technique, she's breathing, and now she's got to overcome this sort of I don't know, not virtual moment, but you do see where I'm going with this? Like,
Just kind of a mentally
mm-hmm.
challenging moment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I can see that too.
I know.
Yeah.
we're all this is gonna be is back and forth, back and forth. Wait, quick question: Is it the Flying Troopers or is it Mandalorians? I want to see the Flying Troopers or is it Mandalorians? I didn't see Flying Troopers. Did you?
No.
Yeah, maybe I missed something. But what I liked right after that scene though is going right into the Leia theme, and I think that choice of music, especially going into the hug and everything else, I think it was really important for this teaser.
Right. And, one of the things that has kind of been on my mind, and it's the situation is almost a lose-lose situation for JJ, is how you handle, the whole Carrie Fisher thing.
Right.
Okay, we're not going to do CGI, or we have old footage. I think they're going about it the best way they can. And I think a lot of people are going to be upset, but I would ask that anybody that really thinks about the process try to put yourself in the director's shoes or the franchise's shoes. It's like how do you really want to handle this? What's the best way to do it?
Right.
And I think they're doing the best they can with it. And from what I've seen, obviously it's just a snippet. Okay, I think they're doing the best they can with it. I think it's being handled the right way thus far.
And I'm with you. And I also think the haters are going to hate. But what I also think is that they wouldn't go. She was supposed to be the focus of this one, right? We had Han, then we had Luke in the second one, in episode 8, and then this was supposed to be Leia. Of course, Carrie Fisher is gone, right? So I don't think JJ would have gone forward with the film with that in mind, with her having a role, unless he was able to pull it off without and doing it in the right way. Does that make sense? JJ is so meticulous when it comes to these type of things. So I don't feel like they would have. I'm not worried about them doing it in the wrong way, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. No, it makes perfect sense.
So
the jetpack,
yeah.
The jetpack, when you see the puff of smoke and you see the speeder and that puff of smoke after the big blast, you see it for a second, you see flying troopers. I'm gonna have to go back and watch.
Yeah.
And
let me mute this real quick and see if I can see what he's saying. After the big explosion. Oh, so while I'm panning through this, I will go back to that Shaggy's. Don't worry. So there's the grip on the control stick in the TIE fighter that's attacking her. Obviously, I'm just assuming it's Kylo, right?
Yeah, it looks like his gloves.
Right, and then you
as
see after they say this Christmas thing, then you get that scene where he's taking someone down. Now, I don't know what's going on in that scene. I'm not gonna. I don't know if we want to break this down scene by scene, but there's really not a lot here. But after the big explosion, okay, let's see.
Yeah, I like that scene where he's taking somebody down because he's doing it with the side of the
so
lightsaber, the hilt piece there, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's what, because we really haven't seen that come into play yet.
I do see what Shaggy is saying. They are not. Shoot, it's actually kind of hard to tell. At first, I just assumed they were on speeders because there is a speeder below it. So I think that's what it's going on. It's just the way that it's cut. I think it looks like they're on freaking broomsticks now that I stop it. So I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna go with Mandalorians though. Do you? That might be.
Maybe.
Well, they're in the desert. There's one speeder on the ground, and one above, and then I don't know. They could be jetpacks. I'm not sure. Yeah, I got it right here. I've looked at it a couple times. I don't know. It's hard to tell even when I stop it, just because of the way the digital effects are. So, I don't know. Okay, so what else? Let's talk about this. What else we got?
So
go ahead.
I would say the raft / barge there that C-3PO's riding on.
Yeah.
I mean, what you talk about an ode to the original trilogy.
That's a great little homage to the sandbars on Tatooine, right?
Absolutely. I'm like, wow, wait a minute. did they cut that out from something?
Right. And I love Kylo putting the helmet back together. That is just, and to me, like a lot of people are saying, oh, does the title mean, he's gonna redeem, there's redemption or whatever. And I've been saying this since I've had this podcast and since these movies started coming out. I do not want to see him redeemed. I don't want to see him come to the light side at the end. I think if he's decided, he made his decision when he killed his father, and that's it. That's what I want to see. Right. I don't want to see, because look, obviously he could easily come back. I mean, Vader killed millions of babies, right? I mean, I just don't want to see. I want to see dark stay dark for once, and I want to see Kylo make his decision. He puts his helmet back together, and he needs to be defeated. That's what I want to see.
And I see that as him embracing his dark side.
Yeah.
A full embrace, and let's just do it.
Yeah.
And really, if you think about it, at the end of episode 8, with the way that he was having all the heavy artillery fire on what he thought was Luke at the end, I think he's already done that. He's already embraced it. So
I mean, he was already okay with killing his father. He was okay with killing Luke. It's fine. I think he's already there, and obviously, if you watch the prequels, and I think why this is actually kind of a little more poignant is the prequels show Anakin uncertain a lot, right? I feel like Kylo is only uncertain. I wouldn't even say he was uncertain before he killed Han. I think he was just thinking. I think he was just like, well, am I ready to go this far? And he's like, yep, I am. You know what I mean? I didn't see him hesitate too often. You know what I mean? In his conviction to the dark side,
The only uncertainty that I've ever seen out of him, or that I can point to off the top of my head, is when it comes to Rey.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's it. Other than that, I think he's been kind of dark side the whole time.
And I think part of
he's killed 2 people, including his own father. The only thing he hasn't done is kick a puppy.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. And he's got time.
Yeah, you never know.
But I think the uncertainty with Rey was almost in that more of a calculating way. Part of it was confusion because he didn't know what she was. And then once he kind of figured out what she was, it was more kind of like, almost like the Emperor in a way, which we'll get to in a minute. Almost like the Emperor in a way where he was like manipulating. Like, hey, don't you want to you need help. Let me help you, right? And I think I feel like it wasn't so much hesitation, it was more calculating, like, how can I get her on my side because she's very powerful. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Nope, I'm with you.
that's my take on Kylo. Plus, if he turns light side, I'm gonna be mad, but I'll be all right. I mean, if it serves a story, it serves a story. But I just want someone to stay bad for once, you know.
Just for once.
Just for once. All right, so we have one more scene to talk. Well, a couple more scenes to talk about, but really, we saw Lando, we saw we saw Chewie and Lando flying the Falcon, which was awesome. We see the barge with C-3PO and Poe, and it was Rose, right, on there as well, or was it Finn?
It was Finn.
It was Finn. Okay. The other thing that I want to throw out there, of course, is the medal. Okay, there's the medal in the hands of somebody, and I like to think that's Han's medal, and that's Leia kind of fondly thinking of him. You know what I mean? The medal he got at the end of episode 4. That's just an assumption because it does look like that to me. Any thoughts on that?
No, I think that, was it episode 4, episode 6?
No. Well, yeah, no. At the end of episode 4, remember they got medals after destroying the Death Star?
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, nope.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's 12:25.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. No, I know it's late. I'm trying to wrap it up, dude. I'm getting on a tangent.
No. You're good. No, I'm with you. It's going to be interesting to see how it all ties in.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't. You know, the challenge of this whole thing is amazing if you think about. You know, you've got to follow up Rian Johnson, which was a different director. You started out with a different director on this film, and you've got to wrap up not just, you know, a film, but basically the end of this trilogy, and in kind of a way, if you're wrapping up the Skywalker saga, you're wrapping up 9 movies.
Yeah.
And
it's a big task.
Yeah, holy smokes, more power to him. More power to him.
So there's only 2 more things I think we should talk about. Obviously, is that last moment where you have the voiceover. It says, you know, nobody's really gone, right? I think is the line. And then in the background, you see the remnants of what I can only assume is the Death Star that was destroyed in episode 6. Is my assumption, because are they on Endor? Or is this remnants of the first Death Star on Yavin? I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's a big chunk of this thing sitting there in the background is what I'm saying.
Was there more than 2 Death Stars and we just didn't know about it?
Then there's that too. So I don't know. So there's some sort of either destroyed Death Star in the background, and then Rey's looking on, and then there's the voice, you know, that says, you know, no one's really gone. And then you hear the cackle, obviously, of the Emperor, right? Which got me. I was like, oh, my God. Unfortunately, one of my friends spoiled it for me. He texted me while I was on the plane, and I got that text when I got off.
Oh.
And he said, what was the laugh at the end? Was that the Emperor? I was like, you son of a goat. I was like, how dare you? And I was like, spoilers, bro. I haven't watched it. Anyway, so, I mean, I would have picked it up anyway, but it would have been cool to experience that. But the bottom line is that's a trip. And I would like to see the Emperor tied in the whole time in some way. Snoke, Kylo. I mean, these are the things that were really powerful, I think, in the EU novels, is where the Emperor or someone that powerful had their hands in everything for long periods of time. You know, even though you don't see the Emperor, he's supposedly dead in episode 6. He was obviously the catalyst of all the events in the prequels. Why not have him be have a hand in all the stuff in the sequel trilogy as well? So,
well, in a way, it kind of makes sense because if you read any of the comics, and I'm woefully behind on the comics, but you had the clone / droid that was the Emperor in that, and then you also had those in the Aftermath trilogy,
right?
Where, you know, he had implanted his presence or thoughts or memories or whatever, you know, with directions included, into these droids. So you see that possibility, but I can also see this being a major misdirect
Oh, yeah.
of some sort. So
And the misdirection, I think, would come in the fact that, well, obviously there's going to be some Force ghosts happening, and
Mhm.
maybe we're going to have, for the first time ever, some dark side Force ghosts trying to manipulate her as well, or something like that. You know what I mean? And so perhaps they need to go here to get something, and the Emperor's not really there, but maybe he's coaxing her to try to find something to turn her to the dark side or something like that. Kind of like Maul and Ezra in Rebels, you know what I'm saying? So it could be something like that as well. I imagine this trailer was meticulously constructed to make sure that all of us Star Wars fans are pulling our hair out for 6 months trying to figure it out. So
right, and then it just won't even be in the movie.
yeah, and then it'll be like, wait, where's the Emperor?
Wait a minute.
It'll be a post credit
You-
scene or something.
Yeah, you had him come out. He was there.
Oh man. So I'm anyway, long and the short of it, man, I'm super stoked for that film. And I loved seeing I loved seeing these trailers. Unfortunately, like I said, I did have a little bit of a spoiler, but again, it still brought tears in my eyes to see Lando and just the feeling, and having the Leia theme and all that. It was a lot. It was really good. So
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm not gonna go see it unless it gets like a 90% on Rotten.
well, and that's the thing. I mean, I'll wait, see the reviews.
Yeah.
You know,
We'll see. I'll wait till it comes out on Netflix. Just kidding.
it'll be on Disney Plus eventually, right?
Yeah, right.
Oh, that's funny. All right, dude. So the last few things I want to talk about before we go are just some of the other stuff that came out of Star Wars Celebration. The main thing is we had the first footage of Resistance Season 2, which I haven't finished with the kids because I don't know where to get it.
Have you watched any of it?
I watched the first couple. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got all of them on DVR.
Okay.
I literally haven't
Yeah.
sat down to watch.
I need to find them on something and watch them because we started watching them and then we got sidetracked and things happened. But I want to watch them because I love the animated series and Filoni's the master. So I definitely want to check that out. And then we got some news about the Mandalorian, which is coming. It's gonna release on Disney Plus the day the service launches, which is November 12th. And this was my question to Will a few weeks ago, or maybe a couple months ago now, when we were talking about Disney Plus quite a bit, is I was wondering if they were going to take the Netflix model and throw it all out there. They're not going to do that.
No.
It's going to be kind of week to week, kind of Game of Thronesy a little bit.
Right.
And the first episode, maybe the first two will be available when Disney Plus launches, but it's not going to be binge time. Which is fine with me. I'm totally fine with it because
So yeah, I know you're kind of like me, like when Luke Cage got released, or some of the Marvel stuff on Netflix.
Yeah.
The problem is I couldn't just they're like Pringles. Once you pop, you can't stop.
Right.
I
Exactly.
can't stop
Yeah.
at just one. I gotta see the next episode. And then the next thing you know, I got to be at work in 3 hours.
Mhm.
It's going to be a long day. So I'm kind of glad
Me
that
too.
they're only doing it this way. So, but that's me. I mean, everybody's a little bit different. So,
Well, I think the problem with the Netflix model, or what they put forward as far as binging, and I like binging stuff. My issue is there's too much now, and I haven't. Like I said, I'm behind. I haven't watched season 2 of Jessica Jones. I haven't watched the last season of Luke Cage. I don't think. I fall behind on stuff because, oh crap, it almost feels daunting. Shoot, I have 12 episodes to watch. You know what I mean? And if I don't get them all done, the next thing's gonna come out, and then I'm screwed. You know what I mean? So I like this better. For case in point, Game of Thrones. If I would probably not have slept the night Game of Thrones came out if it was all in one shot. You know what I mean? And it's not. And my wife and I watched it the next day. It was wonderful. Can't wait for next week. And I know it's coming, and I'm going to make time for it. You know what I mean? I don't know when to make time for 12 hours of Luke Cage. You know what I mean?
Right.
In light of all the other things I'm trying to watch. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And when Disney Plus launches, we're going to have new Star Wars content. We're going to have every Disney. There's a whole list of things that I was going to go through that I may not do tonight. But all of these things are going to be available out the gate on November 12th. It's going to be an onslaught. Yeah, I brought it back. An onslaught of content, from Disney alone. Not to mention all the other stuff we have coming down the pipe, like, new Stranger Things and all these other things that are coming. So I'm fine with this. I'm 100% fine with this. And when it comes out, I'm definitely going to watch The Mandalorian, and then I'm going to see what else they have. I don't want to feel like, shoot, now I have 12 hours of The Mandalorian to watch, and I haven't even touched on what else Disney Plus has to offer. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I'm totally with you. And this is why, like, I'm behind a year or 2 years on Arrow and on
dude.
Flash, because I know how I am. I know, and I dread it. Yeah, it's like
we used to be so good with watching those shows, and I'm 2 years behind on those as well.
Right.
Yep.
Absolutely. It's just
we're at the point now where I feel like there's too much stuff. And it's not a bad thing, but now I have to pick and choose what am I okay with not watching, so that I can watch what I'm not okay with missing. Does that make sense? So
it makes perfect sense. and the other thing I want to say, and I don't want to get us too far off track, but
no, you're fine.
Were you as surprised as I was at the price for Disney Plus?
I was, and I was happy about it, but also and I hate to say this is diabolical Disney. Like, to go at that low of a price point, you'd be a moron not to do it for that much content, especially just for the Star Wars content alone. That price point, because what is it, like $6, something like that?
$6.99.
Yeah,
$6.99
for $7 a month. You get all this new Star Wars content, plus pretty much everything Disney has done to date. That is insane. That will, and with the promise of all of this other original content to come. So the problem with that, the thing is, that's diabolical Disney. That's like they're willing to operate at a loss for years to compete with the other streaming services, and they will win because they have Star Wars, they have Marvel, they have these huge franchises, plus decades of Disney TV, movies, and everything to throw out there for everybody. There's something for everybody.
And Fox.
And not to mention Fox. So it's going to be a war, honestly. Like, I don't know how Netflix and them are going to compete when this drops, man. Netflix better have, think about it. You got Netflix, you got CBS streaming, you've got all these other little streaming services. Apple's trying to do something too. Everybody wants to get in the streaming game. Disney has been plotting this out, man, and they have infinite money behind them, and it's gonna be an absolute war. And I'm very intrigued to see how it goes.
They've already committed $1 billion
That's so
worth of original content for the first year.
No one else can do that. Netflix has a ton of money too, but they can't throw $1 billion at this.
No, there's no way. Netflix put Blockbuster out of business back in the early 2000s, and this may be a turnaround for them. This is just a cycle of business, but we'll see.
It's gonna be a trip, man, and I'm very excited for Disney Plus, and I'm a Disney guy anyway. I was gonna do it regardless, but that price point. I mean, I spend $7 without thinking about it half the time. I think I can muster up $7 for almost infinite content. You know what I mean?
Yeah, are you kidding me? Absolutely.
So it's going to be a trip, man. So I'm not going to talk about this, but as far as The Mandalorian, to bring it back, they're not going to feature IG-88, which is the iconic droid bounty hunter guy. And there is a description of the first footage, but I'm not going to bring that up on the show. But that was people who were there. They gave a description, or they showed him something about the Mandalorian. And there's a transcript in it if you want to check it out. It's on the show notes, but I don't want any spoilers, to be fair. And then they put out a trailer for the Clone Wars, as well, which is also coming. And yet another piece of brilliant Star Wars content that's going to come to Disney Plus. So.
So I want to say things like I would pay $6.99 a month just for the Clone Wars piece, but
Right.
I really don't want to give Disney any ideas, even
Dude,
though they
I-
probably already know what I'm thinking. So.
I'm about to pay. I mean, in a couple days, they're going to charge me $15 just for Game of Thrones. I can deal with that. You know what I mean? Like, I signed up for HBO Now just so I could watch Game of Thrones. I'm going to watch some other stuff, but that's literally the reason I did it. I have a week free trial. They're going to charge me $15 in a couple days, and I'm going to be fine with it. You know what I mean? I would pay $15 just for The Mandalorian, probably. I'm not going to tell Disney that. They're not listening, and you're right. But I would do it. You know?
This is where Comcast, AT&T, Uverse, Time Warner have all gone wrong. If they just would have offered everything, all their channels at a la carte prices.
Yep.
For the last couple of years, they could have competed with streaming services. Now it's too late.
And Amazon is doing something very similar to that. Amazon is letting people kind of pick and choose. And I think there's a couple of other services out there like that too. And that's the way to go. People just want what they want. I don't need, I'm sorry for NASCAR fans. I don't need a NASCAR channel.
Right.
I'm not going to watch NASCAR.
Absolutely.
But I would, if you give me for the same amount, if I can pick, 10 different channels I know I'm going to watch, then I'll do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's a totally different story, man. So.
Yep, I'll pay for what I'll use, and I'm not gonna, like right now, for example, I have Uverse, and it's great to have the DVR, and Uverse is a good service. Well, I got 200 channels, and I think I watch 100. I watch 10.
Yeah.
So there's 190 channels I'm paying for that.
That you don't need.
Yeah.
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 So.
All
right, man. Well, I think we
massive tangent. Sorry.
No, we did that justice, and I figured that's where it was gonna go, and I wanted to talk about it anyway, so we're good. Really quick, as far as Star Wars Celebration, there were 3 games, announced as well, Star Wars related. But before we get to that, when I was downtown Disney, I did the Void thing with Will, and
did you?
I did the Void thing with Will and my daughter. Oh my god, dude, it was so much fun. It was so cool. So cool.
You like that? Hopefully I didn't spoil anything for you.
No. You totally didn't, and it was an absolute blast. Dude. I just didn't want to forget to tell you that. I can't wait to do it again. My youngest wants to do it. So when we go back, we're probably gonna go back, I think, in the beginning of 2020 to check out Star Wars Land and stuff with my family. So I want to do it again. I want to get my brother in there. It's gonna be fun, dude. So that was so fun.
Yeah, it's a blast. At first, I was like, "Oh, this better be worth it," because it is a little pricey.
Yeah, it's $30 a pop, but it was definitely worth it. So
yeah, that was pretty. So who was the person that said that who picked up their blaster last?
I think it was my daughter. Yeah, because I was like, ooh, a gun. I just grabbed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I picked it up last. And I'm like, I didn't even, and it fired. I'm like, I didn't even squeeze the damn trigger. Wait a minute.
No, that was really cool, man. Really, really cool.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. So I'm glad you did that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I did it on my birthday. That was one of the things I wanted to do. My wife asked me what I wanted to do. I was like, I want to do this Void thing. We're gonna do it. And so Will was gonna meet us anyway. So I asked my daughter because she was 10 and old enough to do it, and I asked her if she wanted to do it. She was really nervous in the beginning. She said, I'm really scared, and I was like, it's gonna be okay. Let's just see how it goes, and you know how to get out if you want to get out. And it was so adorable watching her walk around. She was so little. The little tiny stormtrooper. It was so cool. It was really neat.
Did you get really aren't you a little short to be a stormtrooper?
Yeah, there were a couple jokes for sure.
Yeah, nice.
No, it was cool, man. Anyway, I just didn't want to forget to tell you that. All right.
No, that's awesome.
So, talking about video games, Star Wars, they're doing a Vader Immortal VR series, which is coming out, which there's a trailer for, which, VR, take it for how you want, but it's gonna be a whole series of things, which is actually really interesting to me. It's not just I think the first one they said I'm trying to remember the first episode. Where is it? Oh, it's so Star Wars VR series episode 1 is set to be on Oculus, and it's gonna be in the spring. And then there's going to be, I think they're going to keep doing other like scenarios or something like that as well. So That should be interesting. I don't have an Oculus, so I don't know how I'm gonna do that, but you know, it is what it is. But the big one, of course, dude, is Jedi Fallen Order, and this
Yeah.
is the single player game from Respawn Entertainment, which they've been talking about for months and months and months and months and months. We've been speculating, and there's a trailer, and it looks awesome, and I can't wait.
Yeah, me either. Me either. And the first time I saw the trailer for that, I couldn't have the sound on. I think I was in a meeting or
Yeah.
something, because I was paying so much attention. And so I had the subtitles on. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I need to listen to this. But it looks really impressive.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be good, man. I think the visuals alone, the story makes sense. It's Padawan, not destroyed in Order 66, and kind of going from there. They're talking about the gameplay influenced by Legend of Zelda and Metroid, which intrigues me because I love both those franchises so much. I was a little bummed them saying they're not gonna. EA does not have any plans to bring it to the Switch, because that's the only next gen console I have, and I was hoping that it would come to the Switch so my kids could play it when they get a little older. But I'm just gonna get on the PC and have fun.
Yeah, I mean, do that.
It'll
Plus,
be all right.
I bet you by Christmas time, you'd be surprised at how much cheap you get an Xbox or a PlayStation
No, yeah.
4.
And eventually,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna
gonna
get
be-
something else anyway. So.
Yeah.
What else do we have here, dude? Pre-order bonuses have been listed as well. So we have a link in the show notes for that if you want to pre-order it. It does come out November 15th? November 15th. Which is interestingly timed, don't you think? Considering Disney.
What, 1 month before?
Well, no, Disney Plus is coming out.
Oh, Disney Plus. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
November 12th. Then this comes out, and then we're about exactly a month before episode 9. So
Yeah. Timing.
no, dude, timing is everything. It's almost like there's a wheel behind this, or a machine, or a brain behind this machine, or I don't know. I'm tired too. So the antagonist, though, is going to be the second sister, which is from Rebels, which is pretty cool. The Inquisitor.
Yep. And anytime you bring an Inquisitor into the picture, I'm there.
Yeah.
So awesome.
That's gonna be badass. And yeah, and there's not gonna be any multiplayer or microtransactions. It's just gonna be a straight up single player game, which I love. I just want to get immersed
Lessons
in the
learned
game.
from Battle. Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I think EA is starting
From
to
Battlefront. Yeah.
figure out what people want.
Well, the internet spoke to them.
Yeah, they speak harshly sometimes.
Uh-huh.
And then there's gonna be a new Star Wars Lego game, has also been confirmed as well, and which is good. There's been a ton of them, so it makes sense. There's gonna be another one. I don't know the premise of this one though. Do you know? It's gonna be. Oh wait, it's gonna be a game. It's gonna be episode 1 through 9. Wow. Oh, that's
The whole thing?
that's the prediction, I guess. They don't know
Oh,
what it's gonna
okay.
be yet. So, oh yeah, they haven't said exactly what it's gonna be. So no biggie.
And I've liked the Lego games.
Me too.
I haven't played any for a while. Zeke was really into it when he was younger. Now he's into the more modern things. But,
Right.
I kind of liked playing those games along with him. When you were doing 2-player on those things on the Lego games, they're fun.
Yeah, for sure. And my kids play them, and I bought the episodes 1 through 6 or whatever for them, and they run through there. The only thing I don't like about those games is that they're so puzzle heavy. Like, I just want the kids to be able to go through without having to solve a puzzle to get through the level, because it's a little out of their wheelhouse sometimes. But they're getting a little better with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, think about it. It's actually brilliant
Yeah,
because the kids are playing a game and then they can't solve the puzzle. So who do they ask for help?
yeah. And then they get me in there, and I'm like, I don't want to do it. I was like, I'm
now-
playing my own game.
Yeah, and now you're involved with your kids and you're playing a game with the kids and you're
Exactly.
interacting with them, right?
If it was
So
4
it's
players,
brilliant.
I'd be there with them, but I can't be jumping in. It's madness, I tell you. Madness.
Gotcha.
All right, man. So I think that's kind of all I wanted to talk about this week. There's a link in the show notes to all the announcements from Disney Plus. And just one highlight to that was that the content on Disney Plus is going to be downloadable, so you can watch offline, which I find
Ooh.
really interesting.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's again infinite content. Here, have it. For $6 a month. I think that's great. Captain Marvel's coming out day one, of course, on it. And there was one other one. You have your own little custom profiles, making of videos for Frozen. I mean, it's going to be insane, dude. The amount of stuff that's going to come on that. So.
Yeah, the only thing I haven't seen anything about, maybe I just haven't read it, is like for Netflix, I pay for be able to watch on 2 different TVs at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen if there's anything like that, or if it'll just be a single account.
Yeah, I wonder about that. Yeah, you should be able to. I mean, most of those streaming services you can have it going on, 1 or 2 devices, or 2 or 3 devices usually, right? Yeah, we'll see. I'm sure they'll announce something about it.
Anyways.
And then one little
I mean,
side
it's off
note.
topic again.
Yeah. Well, one little side note tangentially related to, I guess, Star Wars, which is really not, is I guess George Lucas helped direct the Game of Thrones, the season 8 premiere, which I thought was a trip. I guess he wanted to come visit the set, and then they were like, he helped out. I don't know. It's just weird to me.
Well, hey, if you're going to invite him to the set, you might as well put him to work.
Yeah, might as well. So anyway. All right, to wrap this up, dude, before we get to the end, definitely, I said at the top of the show, Pucked 4 is happening in San Diego. We are a few months away from that. I'll be announcing probably by the next time we record what day it's going to be on. It's going to be either Friday or Saturday. We'll stream it again and all of that. I'm working on getting some prizes and stuff like that. So if you are in the San Diego area, definitely come down and hang out with us. We'll be at Mission Brewing Company either Friday or Saturday night during Comic-Con, which is middle of July. So next year, dude.
Very cool. Next year.
And you're coming to Celebration. Put it in your calendar.
All right.
He's writing it down right now. All right, man. So thanks for tuning in to The Usual Podcast. If you have comments or questions, you can find us at theusualpodcast.com. Email us at theusualpodcast@gmail.com. And we're on Facebook, Google+, Spotify, Pinterest, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. I am at Darth Pops on Twitter, and John is at John R. Skeen. We're on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, and Plex. Like us, share us, tell your friends, and support the show. You can do that by audibletrial.com/usualpodcast. Get a free audiobook on us. And, of course, the best way to support the show is patreon.com/usualpodcast. We do blooper reels, all kinds of extra stuff. And like I said, thank you to everybody who does that. And you get the show a day or 2 early as well. So you can't beat that, right?
Nope, not at all.
All right, man. I appreciate you being on the show again this week, dude. Anything else to say to our lovely audience?
Well, number one, thank you for having me on the show. I really
Always.
appreciate you pulling me off the bench here and there to come in and fill in. But every time I do it, you know what happens?
I can guess.
I have a fun, and I hope that everybody else had a fun.
Oh, I always have a fun with you, my friend. And we'll see you all next week. Thanks, buddy. I really appreciate you coming on, man. I almost reached out to you last week, but it was too short a notice, and I was just like, and I was just coming back from vacation. I couldn't do it. So,
Dude, you need rest.
I know.
Obviously. Yeah, I'm just hoping you don't get sick like the rest of the family.
Yeah, you and me both, man. You and me both.
I know I just took vacation, but could I also take a couple sick days?
Can also not come to work the rest of the week.
Yeah, but you're going to need a sub the rest of the week. By the way, I'm also going to be sick the first week of September when this new expansion drops.
I'll be out for a lot of reasons for that. Thanks, chat room, for being here. Shaggies, you're awesome. Thanks for showing up, man. I'm going to bring the stream down, but I appreciate y'all being there.